So now we've created three sections of the chart, three sections of the dashboard. We can just combine them all into one single page. Essentially, this just takes the code from example 4. So going back, if you remember, example 4 was the one with the different selected. It's just the time series. It selects different volumes. It's got an average slider to decide what the moving average is, and a date slider to decide the date range. From example 7, which is when we had the correlation scatter plot with the two drop-down lists that the user chose what variables they wanted to look at, or what products they wanted to look at, with a heat map and a date slider that could adjust the dates, and then the one we just looked at, the bubble plots, where we've got 3 drop-downs and a slider for bubble size. Combine them all to one. And then that will then create a dashboard. What I've done is put it all into one single example. So we have one import section at the top, okay, and then I've got a code section for creating the function, a function creating the plot, and then the code building the row. So let's have a look at that. It's easier to explain. There's the bit that, and let's run it so it's ready when we get down to the bottom. Okay, there's the bit that reads in the data, does the imports. Here's the bit that does the line plot and builds the row for the line plots. Then there's a bit, and that's what that bit looks like. And then there's the bit that does the correlation plots, the function that does the correlation plots, which creates the scatter plots and the heat map, and the code that builds the row for that, and that's what that section looks like. And then finally our bit that does the variables. So we get 3 different, I put them all in 3 separate sections. I get 3 different output sections in the notebook. But if you want to see that as a single page, you can just call panel to serve that up as a single page. Okay, so I go to this, I'm going to have to type this in because I can't copy it off the slides when they're being shown as a slideshow. Panel serve minus show and dashboard YNB. While it's coming up, if you happen to be working in the university labs, there's a script you can run to double click that. Yeah, I guess you won't be at the moment. Okay, so there is the dashboard now completed. I'm going to just zoom out so you can see it all on one page. Obviously, it depends on your browser, but that's what the completed entire dashboard looks like. So we've got 3 sections, 3 rows. The top row where we're looking at the time series, the middle row where we're looking at correlations between those time series, and the third row where we're looking at the summary data. So we've encapsulated, we haven't got any of the things like the radar plots that we saw early on, but we've encapsulated an awful lot of the examples from the earlier on in the course and put them all into one single page that the user can play around with and try and explore the data themselves. Not that that's necessarily an easy thing. So, a lot of this course has been about trying to get insight from data. So just having a dashboard doesn't immediately give you insight. It takes a bit more work to figure out what's going on. But at least by creating a dashboard, you're giving the user, which might be you, the facility to explore it all in one place. Okay, so that's what it looks like. And this week, we haven't got any particular data conclusions because, we're just looking at the same data as before. We're just now finding a new way to visualize it. But what we've seen is we've seen that we can build these dashboards without too much difficulty using examples that we've done from previously. And if we connected this up to data that was evolving in real time, you would call that visual analytics, because you can spot things as they change. Those kind of dashboards are quite common nowadays. The dashboard as a tool is generally aimed at the data owner or the producer rather than the data scientist, so maybe a business analyst, somebody like that. But if it's well designed, it allows you to do a data exploration very easily. So you can imagine if you had this for your data, if you go to the trouble of building one of these things, it allows you to explore it very rapidly. It does take a lot more work to get there, because you've got to build in all the sections, and some of them might not end up being very useful. Just a warning: this code only works in Jupyter. It should, in principle, work in Google Colab, but it's much harder to get that to work. So I recommend putting this into Jupyter. Okay, I'm going to finish there, and we'll move on next week to look at some more new techniques. So not particularly visualization techniques, or not looking at different aspects of the data by doing clustering and reduction, dimensionality reduction.